past president of the Tales and Tellers Toastmasters Club. He has presented at over 100 workshops. A past District 57 Table Topics champion and past District 57's Humorous Speech champion. Please help me welcome Brenden Murphy.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most honored welcome guests, intercontinental Toastmasters. What a great club you have. Honored to be here tonight and talk about storytelling, one of my favorite things from way back when. Now, I have to talk about my sainted Grandma Rose. Now, Grandma Rose earned her sainthood when I was 8. I had just seen the film In Search of the Castaways, a Disney film starring Haley Mills. And I was so excited about this god awful. If you ever see the film, you can see how terrible that film is. I was so excited about it. I went to Grandma, and they did this, and then they did this, and then they were over here, and then they were over here, and then they were over here, and they did this and this and this. And my kind, sweethearted Grandma Rose started to glaze over. And you could see her shaking her head automatically and thinking something else like, oh my God, this poor kid. And I kept on speaking and speaking and speaking. I was so enthused about recapping this terrible film. And my grandma patiently listened to me and then walked away and fixed dinner. And that's the day she became Saint Rose of the Murphy clan. And the reason was because you need to remember that it's so important to tell a good story. So tonight we want to talk about the skills of compression, repression, exercise for you is going to happen in the middle. I'm also going to give you some homework, and we're going to then talk about transgression, one of my favorite things to talk about. I will do a quick summary, and then depending on time, we'll enter into Q&A and get some things that you want to get out of me as well. And finally, usually my conclusions last twice as long as my speech. So Abby has made me promise to compress my conclusion so that we can finish on time and get you out of here. With that, I have to ask you to remember, if you don't learn anything else tonight, please remember this. Nobody, and I mean nobody, cares about your story until they storyteller is to make sure they want to care about the story, that they're interested, that they're not distracted, they're not bored. How do you do that? Well, first you start off with entertaining at all times. If your story does not entertain, it is useless. First, entertaining. You must entertain first and foremost, and then the rest that happens, that will depend on the rest of the story. But you must make that connection of entertainment to continue on as a storyteller. First, I would encourage you to be open to the skill of compression. And what do you compress? Well, I hope that you will compress your characters. And one of my stories about my time fighting forest fires with the U.S. Forest Service, I started a story and had input from 3 real-life individuals, Frank, Brett, and James. And I told that to my group at the prep squad, I meet with them once a month, and they give intense feedback. Sometimes I feel like they're a little bit mean, but it's all for my benefit as a storyteller and a speaker. And they told me those 3 characters were too confusing. 3 characters. eventually they made me, those cruel people in the prep squad, made me reduce those characters to one. And because there was a Star Wars theme, I had to choose a different name for them. And I called that one character Old Ben, kind of subtle reference to Obi-Wan Kenobi in the first Star Wars film. So I compressed those guys and it worked so well. Yes, there was no Frank as there was in real life. There was no Brent. There was no James. They were all subsumed into Old Ben, and it worked wonderfully. I had to let go of the truth of those real live people in order to make the story more effective, more clear. So compress your characters, be open to that. Certainly you need to compress time, and that's a requirement with any story. If you were to be a storyteller about a story and you were insisted on real life, then you have to tell everything that happened in those 24 hours in that day or the 24 hours in the next day, every second, every minute. You would have to report that. Of course, that's ridiculous. Nobody does that. So we substitute reality for realism, and realism tries to take certain elements of time that are important to the story and bring those out without giving you everything. And because you start that compression of time in regular storytelling, I think as somebody who wants to make sure your stories don't bore, please compress more and more, as much as possible. Compress the time of your stories so it's highly impactful. And then please be open to compressing your settings. In most stories, 1 or 2 settings is enough. And it may be that 3 or 4 are required based on your story, but limit them as much as possible, because if there's different settings, you have to describe where that setting is and make sure your audience knows, hey, you're not over here, you're over here. So that is a logistical challenge for you as a storyteller. If you can reduce those settings, do so. Put them all in one place, maybe 2 places, maybe 3. But especially in these 5 to 7 minute stories we use in Toastmasters, or these 90-second stories that you use in table topics, get the settings down to 1 or 2 or 3. And then words, compress your words. Richard Lederer, who wrote Anguish English, spoke at a Toastmasters conference a few years back, and I had the privilege of seeing him. And he talked about the need to avoid polysyllabic words. In other words, word syllable as much as possible. Identify word, part of the English language and existed in England before the Normans invaded in 1066. And he says, those are the words that are generic and derive their meaning from context and your delivery, vocal variety, gestures, facial expressions. All those things come from you, and you use the words as that broad canvas to be clear. If you use those multi-syllabic words, then oftentimes people won't understand them, or they'll get stuck on those words. So avoid those. Compress your word length to 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 syllables, but compress it as much as possible. Then you need to be open to repressing. And repression is of a similar nature. You have to choose to repress all that data that is available in your story, whether it's based on a real experience or it's totally fiction. You need to repress the data that you want to include to make sure things are clear. And especially when it comes to describing characters or settings, let the audience's imagination come through and fill in any gaps where you don't describe things down to the atomic level. Go beyond that. Give that more generic description. Give just enough data so the audience can get an idea of what's going on, and let their imagination fill in the rest. Repress that instinct to do that and cut it out. And here's a sad thing. And once again, I mentioned how mean they are to me in Prep Squad. Well, in Prep Squad, they don't like my puns. I like to fill my stories and my writing with clever puns. I was an English major, for goodness sake, so I have a poetic license, but no, I have to cut out my clever turns of phrases again and again because they don't move the story along. What is necessary is what must be put into the story. What is not necessary must be eliminated. Think of that as getting to the core of the story so you don't distract your audience. And please repress your words. Get rid of many words as you can. Words are your tools, but they're also your enemy. And it's hitting that right balance. One of my favorite authors is J.R. Tolkien. He wrote Lord of the Rings. And he developed a friendship with some fellow authors, and he would meet with them once a week. And this group called themselves the Inklings, and they would read each other's material and give criticism. And they would encourage people like J.R. Tolkien to eliminate excess words, to repress the words that weren't necessary. Now, I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. I read it once a year, and as I've read it again and again, I can see where the Inklings must have had an impact on his writing, where the writing has only the words necessary to convey the story. And this is a long story, it's about 1,000 pages, but he's able to repress the excess words. If he didn't have the Inklings, that Lord of the Rings may have been 2,000 pages and never sold because it would have been reduced in quality. But the repression of those excess words, get rid of them if you can. Try eliminating as many words as possible in your story. You got to compress and repress. And I want to get you involved with an exercise right now to practice that compression and repression in an extreme way. For this exercise, we're going to split you up into small groups, maybe 3, 4, 5 people. And Avi's going to take care of me in doing that. And it's just going to get a random groupings for you. And we'll hope you get to meet some people, get to know some people you don't already know, but it's totally random. And it will be led and facilitated by the person who last consumed turkey. We're approaching Thanksgiving out here, and turkey's a big part of that Thanksgiving celebration. But we want to see who ate turkey most recently. Maybe you did it Wednesday, maybe it was back in September, maybe it was last New Year's Eve. Who ate the turkey most recently? That will be the person who facilitates and records the output of the small group. And we're going to give you 5 minutes in the small group to achieve your objective. And this is not an easy objective, but the key is, let me see here, just gotta get here. We're going to ask you to tell a 6-word Thanksgiving tale, a 6-word Thanksgiving tale. And it's going to be about Thanksgiving, and it's going to be in the form of Hemingway's famous 6-word story, For Sale, Baby Shoes, Never Worn, Never Used. So that's something we want you to use as your template to go into those small groups, use that and create a 6-word Thanksgiving themed tale, but only 6 words. 6 words. You can do it because you can compress and repress. So please join that breakout room. Avi has sent the invite to you. Join that random group and create a 6-word Thanksgiving tale. We're ready to go. Please jump right in and have some fun. Please click on the join breakout room and go for it right now.
Emiko, join the breakout room. Hi, Trupti, join the breakout room.
Wow, not everybody's in there, huh?
Yes. Declan, do you want to join the breakout room also? Emiko, did you get the invite for the breakout room?
Hi, Abby. How do I join the breakout room?
Room 3. Let me invite you again.
Great, thanks.
For those of you still in the main room, you should have received a notification to join a breakout room. Please click accept on that one and you will go to the breakout room with your small group. Abby, I've been seeing some notifications that there's been some internet instability on my end. Can you hear me most times?
Most of the times, yeah. Miss, now it has become steady. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Emiko, do you know how to go to breakout room? Emiko, yeah, you are muted, Emiko. You're muted, Emiko. You're muted, I cannot hear you.
So please give me instruction to go down to breakout room.
Yes, yes. I just send you an invite.
Oh, okay, I found join breakout room. Okay,
Yes, join, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Room
Okay.
7. Room
Yes.
7, sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Ida, do you want to join the breakout room?
Some people may just be listening in right now.
Yes.
Cool. So I thought I had abilities to close the breakout rooms. Abby, can I give you 2 cues? One to give them a 1-minute warning.
Sure, yes.
Gotcha.
Please.
Yeah, I'll do that in a couple of minutes. Yeah, thank you.
And Brenden, you have time till 8:45, okay? So you have plenty of time. So if you go longer, it's fine.
Okay, I was targeting to end at 7:25, but I'll keep that flexibility.
Yeah, you have time. So don't rush yourself. Take your time, enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you so much.
Yes.
This is fun putting this together. This is
no, Brenden, let me tell you, we are doing something on January 16th, which is Division Got Talent. You know, it's like America's Got Talent. So I want Miss Dennis, you and Evelyn and Declan, I want 4 of you will be the judges and people will do their table topics and you guys will give them feedback. What did they do better? Will that work for you?
I love that. Yes, sign me up.
Perfect.
Good. Oh, that would be
awesome.
Some stuff, man. Jeez. Cool. Let me see, where am I? Cool. Yeah, no, thank you for the heads up about going to 7:45.
Yes, because we have time. And what happened, as soon as you started, we were 27 people and it became to 34. A lot of people came in like 5 minutes late.
Gotcha. Yeah. No worries. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll catch them up in the summary and do the Q&A.
Perfect.
Gotcha. Okay, let me make sure I'm set up for gallery view for this one. Got it. Look for gallery. Boom. And we're hoping these people get to meet new people. That's always good.
Yes. You know, we have people from Japan. We have people from Bahamas, Canada, India.
Wow, that is awesome. That is so awesome. Okay, so I am going to write down some names. Olivia Ho. I forgot about this. I got to write down who's going to be there.
Yes.
Margaret. Margaret's one of the officers, right?
Yes, yes. She's the secretary. Yep. Margaret, Carol, Derek, Elma.
Cool. Number 4 would be, I didn't make it. It didn't. Oh, Dennis's group is missing 2 people. That's a bummer.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm joining Carol Ashton. Hi, Carol.
Hey, Abhijit, the
Yes.
exercise is just a 6 words? Or
Yes,
is
6
it-
words. 6 words.
And that's it?
That's it. You have to come up with a story of 6 words.
Okay.
Okay.
Mission accomplished.
Perfect. I'll see you guys.
Okay. Sounds good.
And you guys, 7.
Let me know when you want me to give the warning, okay?
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. And that's number 8 is Derek. Can you tell me who's in group number 6? I can't read the name.
Sure, sure. Let me see. Group number 6 is Cedric, Elma, and Kiran.
Is Cedric an officer?
Cedric is not an officer. Elma is the officer.
Okay, I'll get Elma.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I just needed that. And who's in group number 9?
9 is Anne-Marie, Gael, and Marutesh.
And we're and tag to say call those groups. Oh, can you give everybody a 1-minute warning?
Sure, I'll do that.
Cool. And we have J1 who just joined. I'm not sure.
Oh, hey, it's Jim. Yeah, Jim. Jim, are you from Hong Kong now? Are you back in Hong Kong, or are you in Australia now still?
Still in Australia. Yeah.
Right, everybody will be getting going in a minute or so as the groups
Yep.
start coming back to the main room.
Yep, yep.
Right.
Brenden, are you going to share some of your puns?
Only for special people, not with members of the prep squad here. So,
Very, very funny puns. Brenden.
I know. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I work long and hard only for them to be rejected by the prep squad again and again. Some people never learn. Hey, we have a fairly good sized group here tonight. Just waiting for everybody to come back. I believe, Abhi, we have 34 people.
Yes, yes.
Great. Nice. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in and doing this exercise. I'm very excited to hear the results. Once again, the challenge was to come up with a 6-word story with a Thanksgiving theme to show you how compressed and repressed a story can be and eliminate all the frivolity or frivolousness if you can get to that core of a story. It's an extreme exercise, so just very hopeful that you'll have fun with it, and we'll go with that right now. So I'm going to call the groups out in the order I saw on Zoom, and I identified one person from each of the group, and that may not be the person who's the facilitator. So if you're not the facilitator, just turn it over to whoever's going to facilitate, and we'll ask for your 6-word story. With that, group number 1, one of the members there was Olivia Ho. Olivia, are you the facilitator, or was it somebody else?
Hello, everyone. I wasn't the facilitator. It was Evelyn, but we struggle a lot trying to make this. So, Evelyn, do you have any idea?
Sure. Okay, so we what we did is we wrote a bunch of words thinking about Thanksgiving, and here's our 6 words. Family eager to eat turkey defrosted.
Great use of punctuation. Let's get a big hand for group 1, defrosting their turkey still. And that is an important lesson for us all to learn who might need to defrost our turkeys coming up. Very nice. Good stuff. You said you struggled, and I am thrilled that you struggled with it because it isn't easy, but learning how to compress and repress, very important as well. All righty, that's our first story. Our second group, according to Zoom, and I believe Margaret was in that group?
Yes, our Toastmaster or leader was Kenneth Leckershman.
Yep. So as I said earlier in the evening, that I really believe brevity is the soul of wit. So my story was not 6 words, it was actually 4.
Woohoo! Extra credit. Let's go for it.
KFC delivered Thanksgiving 2020.
All right. I need some background here because if you know KFC like I know,
Whoa, can't talk about KFC like that, huh?
We lost him.
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that, Brenden?
I'm sorry, my internet's unstable. I must have missed it.
Yes.
Part of it, Kevin. Oh, can you repeat that again?
You were talking about KFC. You wanted the background story of KFC. Kenneth, can you give the background story of KFC? What inspired you guys?
We're in Corona. We're all doing social distancing. We gotta get creative, right? Family's not coming together this year. So
Nice.
KFC delivered.
Fantastic. Nicely done. All right. Another good story there. Group number 3, I showed Carol as one of the members. Carol, were you the facilitator or was somebody else?
Was when
Yeah, let me, shall I do it?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Here we go. Turkey secret. First steam, then roast.
Good cooking instructions. We have 2 cooking ones and 1 cheating KFC. A 6-word story, 4-word story for the KFC. Nicely done. All right, big hands. Thank you so much, Jim. All right, so group number 4, who was that? Can't read my own writing here. All right, I'm gonna skip to group number 6 where I can read my writing. Elma, you were in group number 6. Who was your leader?
Yes, Karen is.
Oh.
Okay, I have Elma's. It is, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving there. So her message is Thanksgiving, a time of making memories.
Nice. Fantastic.
We had Cedric.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you. Let's get applause for that. And I believe, Dennis, you're in group number 4.
We have more. We have more from.
Oh, you have more?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Each came with our individual ones. Cedric also doesn't celebrate, and his version is, my parents came, they were happy.
Very good, man.
One more from
One
me.
more, please, yeah.
Yeah. Break tradition, adopt your own style.
Adopt your own style. Very nice, very nice. Triple words, triple stories from group number 6. Nicely done. All right. Now, thank you so much, Kieran. And over, I believe it's group number 4 is Dennis Dawson. Were you in that group, sir?
I was in that group. I think that we jumped over there before we knew the rules, so we didn't choose a facilitator. I shall facilitate nevertheless. We came up with 2 stories. One, in the spirit of COVID, I'm thankful that I'm not dead.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
But that wasn't my story.
That's, yeah, please, yes, yes. No, that is very brilliant, sir. Yes, and you had a second story as well, I believe.
I do. My story. The delicious turkey wasn't quite dead.
Nice. All right. For the zombie turkey master, by the way, Dennis is a fan of The Walking Dead, so I'm not surprised that his turkey is partially alive. All right. Very good, sir. Good hand there. Thank you so much for jumping in and being eager to do that. Jill, you were in group number 7, and who was your facilitator?
So I guess I was, and we came up with 2 also. So our first one is family gathering, fighting starts, love unites.
Very good. Beginning, middle, and end. Nicely done. And what's your second story, Jill?
Okay, and this one was Declan's. And it'd probably be cooler if he did it because he's got the cool accent. But giving turkey enough for another year.
I missed part of that. My internet was a little hiccupy. Can you repeat that for my sake, please?
Yeah, I think mine's messing. Okay, so it was Thanksgiving turkey enough for another year.
Very good. Big
I'll text it to you.
Okay. Big cooking going on. Fantastic. Nicely done. Group number 8 had Derek in it, I believe. Derek.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the lovely, for the powerful, the dynamic Marcia Davis Cannon.
We had several. It was a very creative group. Let's see. Turkey flies very high, not moist or dry. That was it. That was a 8-worder. Turkey fish, turkey breast, barbecue's best. Family gathers, all wait to inhale. Thanksgiving, masks get in the way. And turkey pardoned, but no presidential pardon.
Gotcha. Well, you guys covered the gamut there. Very creative. Thank you so much. Nicely done. All righty. And group number 9 had Anne Marie in it. Anne Marie, were you the facilitator or was somebody else?
I'll take the bow.
Okay.
We focus on the turkeys and them having fun. It's all about dinner. And our motto is united, thankful turkeys appreciate dinner together.
Very good. Both a story and a motto. Nicely done, man. Woo! And I have one group I did not identify. Once again, to my bad handwriting. Which group did I miss? Okay, Abby? Yeah. Okay, Abby, you're on mute.
You missed my group, number 5.
Number 5. Okay.
Sorry, Tom. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah,
so we came up a story which is not very happy, but it's like, where's my pet turkey?
Oh man, Tong, you're not allowed to team with Dennis anymore either. All right, so thank you all. Once again, a big hand for your 6-worded tales. Some are 4, some are 8, but all were brilliant. And you showed what you can do when you compress things and repress the unnecessarily complex details along the way. Thank you so much. Now, as a bonus, I'm going to be a mean person, and Abby, I will need a report after next month's meeting because everybody has a homework assignment. I'm going to ask you to watch the start of a film that used compression and repression brilliantly, and it is called Up by Pixar. Now, the director, Peter Docter, was talking about what they were doing to set the backstory before the main action took place, and tells a story of about our older, let me just make sure I got him, Carl, before Carl and Ellie meet, and then they are fans of this explorer, and they meet and they kind of butt heads a little bit, and then they become friends, and then they become man and wife. And it shows their entire life almost up until the time that Ellie dies. And you understand Carl and where he comes from. And the director, Pete Docter, was talking about all they did and what they experimented with. And originally, this was a 20-minute background. And people said, that's too much, that's too much. You know, it just consumes too much of the regular story. They had to compress and repress their instincts, and people fought over what to keep in and what to leave out. And Pete Docter talked about one scene that they were thinking was not necessarily necessary, but when they tested it, they realized it was vital to keep in. And this is when Ellie finds out she cannot have kids. So this is the kind of stuff that goes on when you're balancing what to compress, what to repress. And this is a great example of what you can do. Rotten Tomatoes rated this scene, this 10-minute scene basically, as one of the 20 best items plus scenes in movie history. And if you watch it, look out for how they move things together and how it impacts you emotionally. One other thing that's very fascinating is Carl is not a talkative character. And in those 10 minutes, he talks very little, and there are very few words as they go through. So you can see how powerful it is to tell a story with minimal words. Now, animation is different, of course, than oral storytelling, but I want to put that out there. That's your homework. So Abhi, will you make sure everybody does their homework by next month? Okay.
Definitely.
Fantastic. Now we come to my favorite part of this workshop, and we're going to talk a little bit about my mother, Mother Murphy, right? When I was a young type, I would, of course, travel with my mom, and we'd go see her friends. And my mom would tell stories about us kids, right? My siblings and me. And my mother told lies. She would change the truth, the facts around, and compress and repress and commit transgressions against the actual facts of what had happened, all to tell a tale. And her friends loved it. She would make it funny, she would make it quick and succinct, and those stories were extremely memorable, even to me when I was going, oh, Mom, that's not how it happened. No, that's not it. Mom, first this happened. But my mom, as a natural-born storyteller, knew that those kind of things didn't matter. You had to tell the story which contained overall truth. So my mom was a transgressor and a great storyteller because of her ability and willingness to transgress. So what do you transgress? Well, first off, you have to transgress the facts. Facts can get in the way of a good story. And remember, story is about telling a truth. Even fictional stories tell truths about the human condition. Don't let facts get in the way of a good story. If you need to...
Es de TFT, pendejo. Cállate el hocico, verga.
Abhi, can you mute that person by any chance? Gotcha. Thank you so much. So yeah, so you don't let those facts get in the way. If you have to move facts around, eliminate them, but you're still telling the truth of the story, that's okay. So you're committing a transgression against facts, and that's fine. If you want to see the difference between story acceptance of facts versus a story that transgresses the facts, just look at movies when our theaters are open again. The top 10 movies in terms of ticket sales and gross receipts every week. You'll see the top 10. And There's some good ones and there's some bad ones, but rarely are there any documentaries. Documentaries which try to get the facts straight, try to tell the truth of the facts. They're not as entertaining, and so they don't capture the audience. So you can see that our hunger for story makes it so that facts might get in the way. Don't let that happen to you as a storyteller. And sometimes when you tell true stories, or once again, even fictional stories, the character motivations may be different from the original perception. It may be that somebody's extremely kind to you because they want a big tip. But when you tell the story, you change up those motivations of that character to make the story more effective and overall tell a broader truth. And then the moral of the stories. Don't transgress against morals, but the moral of the story is something that can be changed up by you, the storyteller. So you tell a story, and at the end of the story, you identify the points to be learned from the story, and those are the moral of the story. That's the moral of the story. But you tell it, because the same story can be used in different ways and have different morals every time you tell it, depending on what you bring forth for the audience. So the moral of the story can change. So you have to be willing to make that transgression against that as well. And then again, with words. Toastmasters, I think, is brilliant in how they approach how words are used. People often forget the words that you used in a speech or in a story, but they don't forget how you made them feel or the overall point. So how you use words, it may have a distinct denotation, but you're going to use it in a way to connote a different meaning. And I think that's very important to know that there is a flexibility with words and language based on context and how you choose to lead it. And people will get the meaning from those words based, once again, your vocal variety, your gestures, your facial expressions, the context on how you put it all together. Be willing to transgress against these things to tell a broader truth. One of my favorite movies is The Blind Side. And I told the story about African-American young athlete who had a drug-addicted mother, and he was essentially homeless, and he was taken in by an upscale Caucasian family. And they originally just wanted to be nice and give him a place to stay, and eventually he became part of their family. It is a beautiful story. The problem is the facts don't match the story. And the offensive lineman who was playing in the NFL would always get asked about these stories. And he would just say, that's a movie. There's different facts about it. And he would just leave it at that. And he didn't want the facts to get in the way of a good story, which told a broader truth about love, compassion, acceptance. And he let that stand, even though the facts were changed, things were compressed, repressed, and of course, transgressions took place. So remember, you're making those transgressions for the benefit of the story, to use it to tell a broader truth, while also, most importantly, entertaining. All right, so just to quickly summarize what we talked about, don't bore me. When I listen to your story, I don't want to be bored, and you don't want to bore the storyteller. The story listeners, excuse me, they need to be entertained. Otherwise, they switch off, the eyes glaze over, and it's the end of your story reaching their ears. They may hear words, but it's just blah, blah, blah. So make sure you entertain. And to do that, be willing to compress certain aspects of your story, repress other aspects, get rid of them entirely. And then tonight, I'm going to ask you to do that homework and do it by next month, and just watch those first 10 minutes of the movie Up to see the power of a story that's been highly compressed and had that repression put into that fictional story. And finally, be willing to commit those transgressions against the facts in order to tell a broader truth and a more entertaining story. With that, I want to give time for Q&A, and Abby, I can't see everybody, but maybe you can point somebody else out, or if you have a question, please put it in the chat.
Can you see everyone now?
Let me see here.
Anyone has questions, please put in the chat or ask directly.
There we go.
How to add dialogue? Doesn't dialogue make the story much longer?
Yes, it does, but once again, how you choose to do that. So think of compression and repression. What's the key thing you can do to reduce words in storytelling when you have dialogue? To have voices that are distinct. And this is a Toastmaster talent of vocal variety, right? So as opposed to saying, he said this, then she said, then he replied, and then she said sarcastically, if you can eliminate all those words and have your two characters talking, whether you're able to move around or not, but excuse me, just using vocal variety, you can communicate those different characters. And you want to use dialogue because that tells what's going on for the characters, what's important to them. So yes, please use dialogue, but avoid the adverbs and the said verb as much as possible, and use vocal variety, maybe gestures and facial expressions as well to change that up. But yeah, it's extremely powerful. Good question. Thank you.
I have a question about grabbing the attention at the beginning and setting the mood. Any tips on that?
Yeah. First off, and I've learned this from my friend Dennis Dawson, the idea when you're telling a story, it's part of you to be in that story, to truly be engaged yourself. So what is your energy like? Oh, you're tired after working all day, you go to an evening Toastmasters meeting and you're like, oh God, let me tell you a story about the time I was extremely joyful. Well, that's not gonna work. You have to consciously choose to have that joy and incorporate that and live that when you tell that story. People respond to true emotions, and that's part of our human condition. When you truly choose to be joyful, it will show on your face, and humans are conditioned to understand that. So adopt that energy and we will respond. One of the things that's most interesting in my experience in Toastmasters, been a member since 1997, is how entertaining icebreakers are. Icebreakers are always interesting and entertaining to me. Very rarely are they just total disasters. And then later on, somebody tells a speech where they tell a story and it bores me to death. And you're thinking, wait, they were so good at the icebreaker because that icebreaker was so relevant to them because they knew it so well. And when they try to tell a story, they're not into it as much as they were in that icebreaker. So that as much as possible, that authentic self. And this is where transgression could get in the way, just as a side note, where you're changing the facts and changing the characters from maybe good to bad or whatever. That will impact how you react to your own story, but you want to enliven that. And then you get the people's attention in a variety of ways. And, it would just depend on your story. Just make sure it's connected to your story, connect it with your emotion, and then get some kind of grasp. Some people ask questions at the beginning. That's okay. For me, the idea is to jump in and get some action going, some kind of thought into the brain of the audience so they're curious.
Brenden, one more question. Where can we see Up Online?
So Up Online, I believe you can see part of that on YouTube, and you can also purchase the film or rent the film. But I think it would be worth your investment to see those first 10 minutes and just how powerful they are.
One more question from Jim. Telling a story. past or present? Which is more connecting with the audience?
So I will tell this, and I will admit my bias. I am a big fan of the past tense because there's a truth to that. You are telling about what has happened. So it is by nature past tense. And I know some people prefer the present tense as a way of telling stories. And I've seen very few that are beneficial, that work well. And one of the things that always happens is people mix their tense. They start doing present tense stuff. You do this, we did this, I did this, all that kind of stuff. And then this happened and this happened. It's going to happen all the time. Your default understanding of stories, because stories are told after the fact, whether it's fiction or truth, is that you're thinking in the past tense. So that's going to pop out. And when you do, that causes confusion in your audience. If you write your present tense story and you have it memorized to the T, you might get away with it, but I don't think it's worth it. And I don't think it reflects the art of storytelling, because the art of storytelling says, let me tell you a story about what has happened before now. And that's what the art is. As the third person omniscient narrator, you know about what happened, you know about those characters. Even if you're a third person narrator that doesn't know everything, or you're a first person narrator, that's all going to work best for me as an audience member in the past. And I want to emphasize there are many people right now who tell stories in the present tense. I've actually picked up books written in the present tense. The first thing I do is throw them away because I don't even want anybody to pick up that book. I just want to trash that book. That's how biased I am against present tense storytelling. So please take my response with a grain of salt, knowing that I'm extremely biased to past tense storytelling. Good question, though. Very great question.
Brenden, I have one more question.
Sure.
I have a mentee who wrote a really good script for a 5 to 7 minutes speech, but their word count was over 1,000 words. How can I tell my mentee that it's too much to say in 5 to 7 minutes?
Okay, that's a very good point. So people speak in normal conversation of rate between 140 and 160, 70 words per minute. Some people speak even more quickly than that. The human ear can hear 400 words per minute, but what can it make sense of, right? And that's the key. The people have to be able to digest the words that are spoken to them and put some understanding and comprehension there. When you speak publicly, you should target 120 words per minute. And so when you write, you use the word count option to say, how many words do I have? And you should target for a 5 to 7 minute speech. I would suggest you target 600 to 700 words. In terms of the timing, you can go to 840 words, no problem. But if people laugh at all, that impacts your timing. If people gasp or you want to use extended pauses for effect, that all impacts what words you should do. So just that simple number of 120 words per minute, I hope would help your mentee realize what you need to do. The other option is to watch the first part of A River Runs Through It. It's narrated by this young man who eventually becomes a reporter, and his dad's a pastor. And as a young boy, he gives his dad his homework to read, an essay. And he goes up, puts the paper onto his dad's desk. Dad looks at it, takes his pen, crosses out half the words, right? And he says, okay, rewrite it. The son rewrites the paper thinking, okay, here I'm good. He gives it to his dad again, and his dad goes, and starts crossing out almost every other word again. And that idea of, repression of those words that are not necessary is something that is an exercise that you write and rewrite. So your mentee has maybe a great story, but how can they get that writing from fluffy to non-fluffy to a more dense, concise, precise use of language to tell a story that won't bore people, or worse, distract people with extra details that isn't required.
Thank you. That is very helpful, Brenden. Is there a book you recommend on storytelling?
I use the storytelling workshop from my professional lecture series, and I will give that to you later. I'm not at home right now, so it's not right on my desk, but I used that for a few years, and we used it in Tales and Tellers as part of our educational workshops. And it was a storyteller from North Carolina who's a professor. And it was just very good. And she talks a lot about the art of storytelling. But I would also encourage people to join a group like Prep Squad. And what Prep Squad does is, I'll say a 5 to 7 minute story, and then for the next 40 minutes, I get feedback from this small group that is very intense about, how I use the words, what I communicated, not only the words themselves, but the delivery. And that's the kind of intense feedback you'll probably need. And to me, it reminds me of what J.R.R. Tolkien did with the Inklings once a week, that you would get intense interactive feedback with a group. And the key thing about the Prep Squad, we all respect each other, and we take any input to heart, and then we write and rewrite, and then we rewrite again, and then rewrite again, just like that scene in A River Runs Through It.
Derek has put the link of the movie up in the chat.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. Great clip. Amazing. Just amazing.
Any other questions from anyone? So Brenden, the International Speech Contest is coming within like couple of months. So when is the right time to write the stories for the International Speech Contest?
And you're talking about the International Speech Conference for 2022, right?
Yeah, 2021.
It's too late for 2021. So now you start working for 2022. Yeah, so I think, a big fan of doing it as much in advance as possible. If lightning strikes, it's possible to do it for this round, but we would encourage you to start thinking of 2022 at this point.
And you are saying we should at least prepare one speech or two speeches?
Oh yeah, definitely work on two speeches, of course. But once again, 2021 International Speech Contest starts very quickly, and you want to really be in a solid position already. And it's possible to come in and just put something together very quickly. Lightning can strike. I'm not saying it can't, but I would encourage somebody to work on those two speeches and think 2022. One advantage of 2022, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, 2022 will be on stage and in person, and the storytelling is, I think, best on stage and in person. I believe 2021 will be on Zoom. Can anybody correct me on that?
District is on Zoom, I'm sure, but I don't know if the Paris is going to happen this next year. I don't know that.
Gotcha. And I think I just saw a question from Jim that the Prep Squad is a Toastmasters club, but we don't qualify for DCP because we don't add a lot of new members to that.
So it's a club which meets once a month, and they prep for contest only. They help you in evaluation contest, any speech contest. I think Brenden is also table topics winner at the district level. Dennis Dawson is a Tall Tales humorous speech, and even Brenden is also a humorous speech winner from that club.
Yeah, and we believe it's a format that can be replicated in other places where you get a group of people you trust and respect, and then you're open to being, simply put, more critical of somebody's speech. And it's very powerful.
So Brenden, one question I have is, sometimes we write a speech and then we go to prep squad and then we have to rewrite the complete speech again.
Yep.
Sometimes it's like, I have by-hearted the speech and then I have to redo it.
Yep.
What do you suggest about that? Because sometimes some people, they don't know that the speech comes to life, writing and rewriting it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's what we do in prep squad. And you'll see that from people outside of prep squad as well, that the writing and the rewriting is how you make a great speech. And it's your internal vision of what you're saying is clear to you, but is it clear to your audience? And that's why you practice and rehearse, and then you get that feedback and you do it again. And you see the eyes light up when you make that connection. And you get that when you do it. And other times it doesn't, the eyes don't light up because you haven't made that connection. And it's, in Toastmasters, we know it's a combination of the words and the delivery, and they have to be brought together as a whole. And that's why you practice. So after you rewrite a speech, you have to make sure you know how to deliver that newly rewritten speech. And that's a pain. And that's why Prep Squad makes me cry almost every time, because now I have to go and do it again. And, but other people do that as well, again and again, that process of repeating and repeating the editing until you can say, yes, this is good.
There is one more question. Is there a time to do a story within a 2-minute table topic?
Oh, well, you stole my thunder for my conclusion, but here's what I am going to say. Everybody should have your stories ready to go, your 90-second versions of personal stories. When you were happy, when you were mad, when you were sad, glad, goofy, crazy, whatever. You should have those stories ready to go, not just for Toastmasters and table topics, but for your life outside of Toastmasters. You go to a Zoom party, you go to a cocktail party after the vaccinations get all delivered, and you go to an interview. You should be able to tell snippets of your own story. If you tell a 5 to 7 minute story, people will walk away, even if it's a great story. But if you tell a 90-second story about yourself, I believe you will be memorable and people will appreciate you and ask you to come back, either as a future employee, as a member invitee to the next cocktail party or the next Zoom session. So yes, have your stories there. And maybe you start with a 5 to 7 minute story, and then you go through compression, regression, maybe a little transgression to get that down to a 90-second version. And please remember the fungibility of those stories. A 90-second story can use to tell a truth about one thing, and then the next time you can use that same 90-second story to highlight another truth, because you connect it to the situation and you explicate the truth out of there as much as possible. So yes, please, I think everybody should have a bunch of 90-second stories ready to go, and you can practice those 90-second stories in table topics and connecting them to those different table topics you receive. Great question.
Can you share your 90-second story when you were happy?
Oh, fantastic. When I was happy. I'm doing a workshop tomorrow, so this will be repetitive of that. And the question is, what is your favorite color? And to me, my favorite color is green, because I still remember the green of the Christmas tree that Christmas when I was 11. I woke up with low expectations. My mom was a single mom, and she was working hard and having trouble with my older siblings. And we barely had enough money to heat the house. But the first thing I noticed on that Christmas morning was the warm tile of the floor. And before anybody else could wake up, I ran out of my room, turned the corner and I saw the Christmas tree lit up in its resplendent green. And underneath that was my very own large gift. I told everybody else to wake up, and they grumbled out of bed and they joined me in the living room underneath that green pine smelling tree. And as soon as they got there, I ripped open this gift, and it was what I had requested of Santa Claus, my very own saxophone. And to this day, that green reminds me of the magic of Santa Claus and the joy that Christmas can bring. And these kind of stories are something that you have that are you. And if you equip yourself with those stories, I think you empower yourself to be memorable and to use them in different situations. Thank you, Abby. Anything else for questions? I'm sorry, Abby, I couldn't, I have you on mute. Oops, you got muted again, Abby.
Rashini, do you have any question? You came on. Okay. I think that's it for us. I will give it back to Margaret.
Oh, and let me just, if I may.
Sure, please.
So I just want to quickly conclude and remind everybody that during this Zoom time, whether you're celebrating Thanksgiving or not, we're going into this time of greeting family, and being prepared with those 90-second stories is something that's really important. How did you survive 2020? How are you doing right now? And there's other people who will stumble along, but because you're Toastmasters, you know to go after a table topic timing of something 1 to 2 minutes and tell something that's been practiced again and again, and leave that impact with your family and your friends, and truly have a happy Zoomsgiving. With that, I return control to Madam Toastmaster.
There is one more question. Brenden, you are showing that book. You are not at home, right? You don't have that book.
No, yeah, I don't. No, yeah. It's the great courses. It's the great courses on storytelling, but I'll send that link to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Carol, you have a question? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Abhijit, when I send the link, or Margaret sends the link, the recording, we can also include the name of that book.
Perfect.
As long as we have everybody's email.
Yes, sounds good.
Thanks.
Back to you, Margaret. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brenden. That was an incredible session. I speak only for myself. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if it wouldn't blow the eardrums off of everybody, I'd say unmute and let's cheer. Can we cheer for Brenden? That was incredible.
Woo! Everyone turn on their cameras.
Very nice. Thank you.
Just so appreciate the time you took to share with us, and it has been a real help to myself, and I'm sure many, many others. We are looking forward to having it on our YouTube channel, and we will forward that to anybody we have the email address for that requests it. And heartfelt thank you. You're not even at home, you're somewhere out on the road doing a workshop. I give you kudos to you for being so dedicated. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I just want to point out that Dennis has the title of the workshop, and it's the great course is The Art of Storytelling from Parents to Professionals.
Oh, perfect. It's there already. So we'll add that to the link, and we will call the meeting adjourned. But true to our club, we have a visiting session afterwards. So if you have a commitment, or it's midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning for you, you're more than welcome to shut us off. The meeting is officially finished, and we are going to just chat and visit and get to know each other a little bit better, because we can't go out for a drink.
Yes, I have to make an announcement. Yes. We have on December 11th, we have a finalist from 2020 coming and giving a workshop. His name is Benjamin, and he's from Africa, I think. He's not from United States. So it'll be fun to have him and speak at our club.
Thank you, Abhijit.
And Brenden Murphy is giving a workshop tomorrow about table topics. Brenden, do you have a link you can post in?
Let me see if I can find that. Definitely. Let me get that right now.
If you have something that Brenden said that really motivated you or challenged you, this is your opportunity to share.
Oh, looks like we are all thought out. I'm just knowing that next month is coming, and I know Derek's planning a special Christmas event for us for our intercontinental group. Looking forward to that. And our next meeting is same time, same place, and Margaret also has all the agenda information. All the rules are filled, I believe. Correct?
Yes.
And I think we have only 4 more spots left. Anybody still interested in becoming a charter member for our online only club? Please email ictm@gmail.com or text Margaret.
So
Excellent.
Derek, go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead. No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Derek, how was your experience today?
Well, tonight was fabulous. Today, I was 40 feet up in the air, cutting down a tree. However, you know how Murphy goes. His law often shows up. And unfortunately, one misstep, and that tree came crashing down the wrong way, caught me in my head. Oh, what a few seconds that was. But I am here with you tonight in good spirits, slight headache, but fine. So I had a wonderful day, a new experience, a story to tell when my grandchildren finally come and grab hold of my ankles and say, "Grandpa, how did you get a gash across your head?" I have a wonderful story to tell. So I am feeling fine. I'm feeling great. Thank you.
Anne Marie, how was your experience?
Storytelling is Toastmasters, and it has enlightened me. I've learned so much tonight, and I thank you for putting this on because we are always learning and we're always developing. Great stuff.
Jim, how was your experience?
I got a lot out of this workshop. I liked the idea of, how we can, maybe not discard the truth, but don't let it get in the way of doing a story, and how to pare it down. That's one of the big things that, you want to give a lot to the audience. So you end up saying a lot, many, many words, and speaking really fast, and nobody can follow what you're saying. So really less is more, really how to cut it down. And that's one of the things I need to challenge myself on.
Emiko, how was your experience?
This is first time to join this club meeting. And so now I understand we are preparing for speech in 2 years, not next year, in 2 years. So I found this speech is really for preparation, taking time. Sometimes only few hours I try to make speech, but the pathway to championship, this time we need. And today I learned that this is very impressive learning. Thank you. Great, very great. Thank you very much.
Elma, how was your experience?
Thank you, Abhijit. Well, I like to travel, and every time I travel, I always came back with a story. And my sisters, they always try to avoid me because I have long-winded stories. So this workshop, I needed that. Thank you, Brenden. Back to you, Abhijit.
Pramathesh, how was your experience?
I really enjoyed the workshop. I often change the facts but of late I have been trying to control this, and after this third section, I think that we can do that, and I am more confident in doing what I like to do. Thank you.
Piyush, you there?
Yes, I'm very much there, and I feel like I'm a designer, and we all always taught to be minimalist in designs, and I can compare that how we can be minimalist in usage of words using the techniques. But Brenden, it was really awesome. Thanks.
So Piyush is from India, Derek is from Bahamas, Emiko is from Japan, Elma is from Bahamas. Niharika, you there? Melanie, how was your experience? Niharika, go ahead.
Yeah, my experience was good. I actually met my school friend here. So I got a story from this workshop. And yeah, it was great listening to the concepts. Nice, it was good.
So I'm working with Niharika for a club in India. I work with Cisco, with Trupti, who was attending this workshop. And these two ladies they are friends. They're childhood friends. They met in this workshop today. So Brenden, tomorrow's, can you give us some details about tomorrow's workshop for table topics?
Yeah.
It's just,
Oh, no, very excited about that. I actually don't have the Zoom link. Dennis is trying to help me with that.
Oh, I can find it.
Oh, you got it? Oh, fantastic. I know Gavin has it. So it's called Murphy's Laws of Table Topics. And some of the things that I've learned from doing table topics, and especially learned when I competed in table topics, it was a benefit to me. And once again, I'm a big fan that Toastmasters is its own little world, but Toastmasters is not about Toastmasters. It's about going outside beyond our Zoom room or beyond our physical room and communicating and connecting with others there. And Toastmasters helps with that in amazing ways. So these laws are about table topics, but really point towards impromptu speaking, which we all need to do again and again. So I hope you can join. Again, it's 2 p.m. Pacific, and I believe Abhi just put the Zoom room in there. Thank you so much, and thank you, Melanie, for getting that there. Thank you, Abhi. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Dennis, how was your experience? We didn't hear much from you today, so we would love to hear from you.
Of course, you didn't hear much from me. You had to hear Brenden with his cockamamie. I'm going to do a storytelling workshop. Well, he thinks he's so hot and everybody's listening to him. Everybody thinks that everything he says is gold. And just because he's really good, everybody thinks.
Both of my feelings are hurt. Thank you, Dennis.
Oh, is this the workshop for tomorrow?
Yeah.
See, I've been trying to find for the last half hour that workshop link that you just passed to him. Given that I'm the Toastmaster tomorrow, you posted that. All right. No, obviously, Brenden is the person. I don't know if I've ever told you this. Let me tell you a story. Dun, 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 dun. I joined Toastmasters 13 years ago. I went to TLI. There was a speaker at TLI. That speaker was Brenden Murphy. And I said, I hope someday to be as good a speaker as Brenden Murphy. And within weeks, I was. I didn't know what else I was going to do in Toastmasters, but I hung around anyway.
And we're better for you hanging around, sir. Thank you.
He's my brother from another mother. You know that.